All right. Well, it is the 31st of July, the last day of July, and we are working on our scene still. We've got a few more layers to paint here. We've got a few frames painted out of the 22nd or the 20 frame scene, and we are just moving on to the next frame here. So we're adding a layer. We'll get right into this next bit. So let's see. All right. Yes, indeed. We are putting line, flesh line, and sometimes the flesh line is on the top when it intersects with another line, and other times it's on the bottom. That is dependent upon the effect we'd like to get when we have everything all done. Sometimes it isn't always obvious what the best thing to do is, but as we go from shot to shot, it will occur to us as we're doing it what makes the most sense. Like for instance here I'm putting the bracelet on our character here, and I have the line on the top because it's going over the line here, over the orange line, which is the flesh line. So there are times when I know some of the line needs to be on top, other times I know the line needs to be underneath. There isn't any rule for this because as you're putting the line down, it isn't until you make that line and see it that you say, or you can determine, oh, this should be on the top or this should be on the bottom. This should be on top or it should be underneath. And oftentimes, your scene, because things happen in your scene so quickly, you have to sometimes ask yourself, well, how important is that? Because is anyone going to see it? In most cases, if it's just 1/24th of a second, no, they're not going to see it. We always make determinations based on what we think makes the most sense. What's the most expeditious way to get the scene done? Is it more important to hold things up to get something perfect, or is it better to be more expeditious and get the scene done quicker? Only you, the artist, the creative person, can answer that question. And only you can answer that question correctly because only you know just how important it is to you. If it's really, really important to you, then you make the adjustment necessary. If you think it holds up the works, if you think it's going to be a problem, then you'd have to be smart enough to make the right choice, whatever that might be. And it isn't always obvious what the choice needs to be. Sometimes it's obvious when you're looking at the final piece of art, sometimes it's not. Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see. I gotta find this. Hmm. Is it up here? Hmm. I'm looking for my models. I'm not seeing it, of course. What is it? Oh. No, it's not there. Okay. All right, well then I'm just going to have to make a decision on my own then. Okay, here's one of those situations. Okay, I'm trying to decide what color to make. I know the pants down here, at least I believe, they're going to be blue, or they have been blue so far. I'm working behind, so since she jumps up for a hot second, um, I'm just going to make this blue, and then I'm going to make the shoes brown, primarily because she's going to be in the air for, just a brief moment, and I'm not going to overthink this. So I'm making the decision to not be too concerned about that, because it's really going to be like one frame, literally one frame. Let's see, she's got the brush. All right, that's brown. So we know that's got to all be brown. Are we behind? Yes, we are. I think that's okay there, but the fingers should be on top here. So we'll get the skin color on top there. Is there any place else that needs to be the case? It looks like the black line here should probably overlap on this bit. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What do we got here on the paint? All right. All right, we see what that is. That's going to be this color in here for the brush stroke moving through. And then we know that the actual color there is going to... Okay, now that's saying it's on the top. All right. Yeah, it's on the top for this part of the action. All right. I guess that makes sense. Bring it down to... All right. So that's going to go all the way around to here. This is all on the top. Okay. Same thing here. So that goes across the top of those lines. Go for there. See, like the back part of this here, actually, realistically, I've often wondered if maybe I shouldn't just copy paste so that it doesn't move. So I could do that. I didn't do that, but part of me kind of says I wonder if that is maybe the better way to go. Yeah, might be. Let's see, what are we missing here? I think it looks like everything is okay there. Okay. All right, paint bucket. And ding, 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 ding. All right. We want the paint drawn behind to get any areas where the color didn't fly through properly. Black on the hair. Okay, we got to get the black in that little space in there. Okay. All right. Shirt. That's this color here. So that's there and there and there. And the bracelet, that's right. Alright, brown for the brush, blue for the paint. Good. Blue for the pants, and then we're just going to go to brown for the... Yeah, okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's add another frame. Okay. Let's see. Right. Let's see. So we've got skin color. So that's going to be the hand. Yep. There. Coming down to here. Okay. Let's see. I think maybe the chin. Yeah. Right there. Well, I guess maybe I'll carry it all the way around. I mean, because he's got black hair, so it's kind of just every kind of thing's kind of disappear against that black hair. Okay. Go. Okay. Bracelet. Let's see. So on the bracelet, okay, so it's going around. And yeah. Around, and then the color of the shirt. And you want to put this on top? Yeah, I'm going to put this on top. Front. So we'll come up. Wait a minute. Back up on that. I want that here. We're going to get an underneath the shirt, looks like, aren't we? Yeah, we are. So we've got a color that calling for it. We're going to be calling for a color we don't have. Let's see. There's the. I'm going to do this behind. So we got the tummy pumping out here, and I'm going to make that color. Let's see. Okay, the pants are light blue. Let's see, I'm going to work behind the line. Okay, so we got that. Alright. So, draws in front. We'll cover that purple line with that color. Okay, in the front. Same thing here. That should be on top. Right, I think so. The brown shoe is underneath the line. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got the black hair. So, yeah. That line is, well, I'm calling for it to be behind. That's kind of okay. It doesn't kind of matter too much here. Let's see, that's going to go up to here and there. I think I'll just keep it behind all that stuff. There. There. Is this behind? Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's all working behind. Now these arms here. See, I don't know if I think that was. Yeah, I think that was on the top. No, those are behind. All right. Well, then we need to. Yeah. See. Okay. So we need to do that and that. Okay. Let's see. Black now. What are we doing? Behind or in front? Behind. So that's going to be eyes, eyebrows, nose, mouth is pink, or the lips rather are pink. Okay. paintbrush. Okay, so we got that. That's going to be behind. Fingers, whoops. Wrong. That's the brush. There we go. Okay, alright, okay. Paint streak is there. Okay. Paintbrush on top. Finish off the brush there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Just the blue line. It's gonna be here. Once again, I always have to kind of make sure that it's understood what I'm doing when I'm talking about lines on top and lines underneath. What I mean is that as I'm inking a line, if if a color line needs to be underneath another color line, that's what I'm talking about. Even though it goes by probably so fast that you may not even see it, that then just becomes a pure artistic decision that you make. It isn't necessarily, I guess it depends on, just like I said earlier, how important is it to you to get to have it be accurate for every frame, because sometimes these things, and well, in every case, your scene is going by at such a fast speed that you do have to ask yourself, is it important enough for me to address that? That's the question you have to ask. If it is, and that is only a question you can answer as the artist, the person who's creating it, then you do it. If you don't think it's that important, then you don't do it. Let's see. Now see here, I've got a color underneath it, so she's dropping down. What do I want to paint that? I think what I'm going to do is just use the color of the paint there to fill in this area, because once again, it's only going to be on the screen for a brief moment. So I'm sort of making a decision that it isn't important enough to draw a whole lot of attention to itself, because it's going to go by so fast that it's just not important enough to make that big of a deal out of it. That's why I'm making that decision. So, yeah. That's a fun little scene. Alright, let's see. Probably going to get one more drawing painted here before we stop. Let's see. Yeah. I always have to make it bigger because I can't see it. Sorry. And I have to kind of put it over in this corner, because then you won't see it. If I don't do that, you won't see it. Yeah, see here, like this situation is like, do I paint all of her face? The flesh color on the line all the way around, or do I make some of it black? That because you're going to have those two color shapes coming against each other, it really kind of works out that it doesn't make any difference, really, because you're just not going to notice it. In the fast melees of the animation going by at such a fast speed, you're just not going to see it. And it's just not going to be enough to make a big deal about it. But as I said before, and will say again, as the artist, as you, the creator, sees fit, you do what you think. You do what you would like to see. And I can understand artists wanting to, put the highest level of production value into what they do. So they don't want to leave any stone unturned, as it were. And I respect that. I only say that in my experience as an animator and with all of the work that you have to do to make an animated film, you learn to make some concessions as you move along, and you learn what's important and what's not. And sometimes you're just gonna notice that there's just gonna be things that are not that big of a deal. I was listening. I forget who. I think I was listening to a documentary the other day about the Fleischer Studio, the folks who used to do the old Popeye cartoons. And I heard something to the effect. I didn't even know this. I think someone mentioned it in the documentary that there were assistants. I think. Oh no, not assistants. I think they were painters actually, or something, or inkers even. I think that would actually add in betweens on some of the characters' movements because they thought that there weren't enough drawings that the animator had done. And they felt like, oh, maybe we need to add these drawings. Maybe the animator missed them or something. And I remember, and I think this was done. This was being done by inkers. And I remember thinking, like, wow, you talk about having a real respect for the medium, wanting to do the best job you could do. That's pretty cool, actually. To be honest, it's pretty cool because it shows you the dedication of the people that work on these things, that they care enough, to actually go and fix something that they think is supposed to be fixed, even though it kind of doesn't need to be fixed. I just thought that was interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know whether at any point someone told them that they didn't need to do that. I don't know. Because to some degree that could be a problem. I know, like, as far as Disney goes, when I used to work at Disney, it's like whatever the animator, whoever the lead animator was, you didn't dare um, add to something that the animator had done without his knowledge. That was taboo. You did not do that. That was not your job. So, but I just thought it was kind of a neat thought that someone that inkers who are kind of at the no one said the lowest end, and they're not, but they're the ones right before it goes to camera, that they cared enough that they felt, oh well, maybe we need to fix this. I just thought that was particularly wonderful because I just thought it shows, to me anyway, it shows the dedication of the people, that they actually cared enough to try to fix something if they thought it needed fixing. And yeah, I mean, how do you argue with that? You got to kind of think, even if they're wrong, you got to kind of go like, that they're missing the point there, but you know what? That's okay, because that just shows that they care enough to try to do a good job, what they think is a good job. And it's like, yeah, that's, I don't know, I would take that as a compliment. And then, pull them aside and go, now, the animator had this in mind, and I know you're trying to help, and we appreciate your help, but you need to let the animator's drawings be what they are, because the animator has got something in his head or her head, and when you do things like that, I know you mean well, but you might want to not do that. Because it might change the timing of the animation. In fact, it will change the timing of the animation. And it might make the animator a little unhappy because he will see his scene and he'll go like, wait a minute, that seems like it was a little faster than that or something else. And then he finds out later on that you did this. He might not be as forthcoming about it as some of us might be. So something to be aware of anyway. Yeah, there we go. So there you go. Let's see. Behind the line. Okay, so that's going to be there. All right. Okay, and drink. All right. So let's see. We've got the bucket. Okay, so skin color and the hair. Yeah, we'll need to. Oh, good, it is behind. All right. All right. Shirt. Ding, ding, ding. Get a little blending there. The underneath color is going to be the dark paint, which will be the same as this paint. And then we'll use the pants color, and then last but not least, the shoe color. Okay. Play it again, Sam. Where are we at? Oh yeah, okay, we should stop. Okay, well, we've only got 2 more drawings to do. I mean, I could do them, but I think we're going to stop here. We're at 26 minutes, so I don't want to wear you good people out. So we're doing good. We'll be done with this scene tomorrow, and then we'll go on to the next scene after that. All right, I do hope the sound is good on this. I'll be checking it to make sure. You guys are doing great. Have a great day, what's left of it. Don't forget to thank God for your talents and gifts. Remember, that's all important. You know, we wouldn't have the abilities that we have without God's intervention in our lives. We all have a special skill, so be thankful. All right, I'll see you folks tomorrow. See you later. Bye.